All right. And we are live. Yay. Hey, B. I don't know if you can see
Hey.
Tiff. B's already here in the comments. I'm just going to give people a little bit of time to get here because we
Come
just
on in.
sent it out, y'all. If you're watching the replay, hello and welcome. We usually go live on Fridays around here, but this we had to talk about sooner than later.
Yes.
It's a lot. We're going to do our best to unpack it all and hopefully in a more positive way because I know this topic has been talked about. Everybody has given a 5, 10, 20, 5, 11, 12, 13.
Yes.
And we're going to give ours.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
But we are hoping to give it to you in a way that is more conducive to just instead of just being gossipy and talking about people and judging people or shaming people. Hopefully we can talk to this and talk about it in a way that will help you and us grow, because I know that I have had conversations. I'm blessed to have Triumphant Tiff as a friend in real life, not just online, but I'm blessed to have her as a real friend and friends and family. And we've all been talking about it, and the conversations, I thank God I have people in my life who are so awesome that we had really conversations that were really eye-opening and really made us look at ourselves and how we can do and be better, and not just expect other people to do and be better, but how you can do and be better. So we're going to get into that. So I'm just going to, I see the number going up. Hey, everybody. Hey.
Hello. Hey,
you are here, just please let me know, because we do want to acknowledge you, even if it's your first time. You don't have to do a whole bunch of typing, but we do just want to acknowledge and say, thank you. Appreciate you spending your time with us. And I'm going to get into it because I don't want to keep everybody on here all night because I like to talk.
Okay. Me too. You picked the wrong person to keep it brief.
Okay, the Silky Chick community, if you ain't familiar with us, we be talking. This is what we do. All pandemics, this is what we do.
This is what we do.
So we're gonna get into this thing. So let me just send out one little link.
Go ahead. In the meantime, how everybody doing?
Yes.
How everybody doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. Just been super busy and just trying to do my best. It's been a lot of death over here, a lot of personal stuff going on. And so we just trying to do our best to persevere and keep positive and keep going. Hi, Kai Miracle. Hey, y'all, that's my best friend.
Hey.
That's my
Hey, Keela. Hey, Tanya F.
Hey,
welcome. My family in the house.
I love that. See, we blessed. We are blessed to have
people
who love us and will take their time to spend with us. Cocoa Butter Curls. Hey, my boo.
Hey, Coco.
Uniquely Vicky.
Welcome.
Hey, sis. Thank you. No problem. Thank you. I appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and start getting into this. Please, everybody here, I know the majority of you, but for those, hey, Zil, love you. Let's please keep it respectful in the chat. Okay, my blockhead is real. Okay. We'll usher you on out. You know how they usher you out.
I got my tablet here for y'all. I'm ready for y'all.
Okay, we'll usher you on out if you don't know. Okay, because I get that this is a really emotional topic. A lot of people feel very impacted by this. A lot of people can relate to this on a personal level. And so we want to just be respectful of that. And so we honor and respect everybody's opinion and how they see things. And we understand that we all have our own way of seeing things. And we all may just have to agree to disagree on some things. And that is okay. It does not mean that we don't love or care about each other. It just means you see it how you see it, and I see it how I see it. And that's okay. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows it's all love, and it's all love and the intention. I just want to make this clear. Me and Tiff have prayed about this, and the intention of us even wanting to go live and talk about this is to hopefully help us and take this from like a really sad moment and a moment of a lot of gossip to something that can be a little bit more tangible and something that we can use to help us get better. Okay?
Absolutely.
That being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you have been living under a rock at this point, then you may not have heard that, unfortunately, on Sunday at the 94th Oscars, Chris Rock came out to tell a joke. The joke was about his wife, Jada Pinkett. It made reference to her bald head. Jada's head is bald due to alopecia. She's decided to cut her hair off. And so Will was offended by that. His reaction to that and how he decided to handle that was he went up and he slapped Chris Rock. And so Chris Rock, kind of took it like a champ, in my opinion, and was able to continue to do what it was he had to do. The show went on, and we all know Will won, and the show went on. But unfortunately, what was sad about it is today, yesterday, everybody was talking about the slap. Nobody was talking about that Will won. Nobody talked about that Samuel L. Jackson won an honorary Oscar. It was produced by Will Packard, who is a Black TV producer. It was hosted for the first time by 2 Black women and Amy Schumer, who is a white woman. So 3 women. A queer Afro-Latina won her first Oscar. Questlove won an Oscar. And I'm trying to remember, when it comes to our community, when I say our community, I'm talking about the Black community. There was a lot of firsts and a lot of legendary things. Hey, Miss Ebony V, welcome, sis. Thanks for coming.
Hey, welcome.
If you don't know, if you're new around here, I'm Issa Rae with mine. I'm rooting for everybody Black.
Let's go.
So I was at my hotel room because I travel for a living. I was at my hotel room. I was like, oh, shoot, the Oscars is on. I turned them on. They were already on. I fell asleep. When I woke up to, like, probably a lot of people woke up to this incident, and I thought it was fake. And if you can talk about it at any point, but I thought it was fake.
Yeah, when I first saw the sequence of events, at first I thought it was fake as well because of Will's facial expression when he was walking off of the stage.
Yes.
And then when he started yelling from the crowd, and I saw his face in the background, I said, "Oh, this is looking like this might have been actually some real feelings here."
Right.
Some real feelings. Yes.
This is Lupita for me. And you guys are welcome to, type in the chat, your reaction if you've seen it live. How many of you guys did see it live? How many of you guys seen it later? But yeah, it was Lupita for me. I was like, oh, no, look at Lupita. Like,
yeah, she was looking like,
yes.
We doing this now?
Right. This was really real. And so, making a long story short, I, of course, like most of you guys probably did, I had comments about it, talked to people about it. And what I realized is I was like, ECOUIA, like, you don't know Will Smith from a can of paint. You don't know Chris Rock from a can of paint. I mean, you know them, but you don't know them. This is not personal to you. Why are you so invested in this? What is going on? And it led to a deeper conversation. Okay, Uniquely Vicky says she saw it later too. Yeah. And really what it ultimately led me to, and me and Tiff, talked about this too, it led to deeper conversations, especially for us in the Black community, how we look at each other, how we treat each other, our mental health, and just how we carry things culturally. And we put so much on us, on ourselves. And some of it is self-imposed and some of it is historical, we know. And just, we wanted to really talk about how to free ourselves of that and what we can do mentally to be better and to use this as an example in a way that we could like really talk about and unpack some of this stuff. And unpack some of this stuff of what we really witnessed, because I think we can all agree that it was much deeper. The joke was definitely distasteful.
Yep. And
I definitely think, and I would hope that if Chris Rock knew that she had alopecia, that he wouldn't have chose to say the joke. But I think it's so much deeper than that. I know it's deeper than that for Will. He did issue an apology, said that. We'll get into that later. I know it's deeper for Jada because she is the one living with alopecia. And I'm sure it's deeper now for Chris because he thought he was on stage telling jokes.
Right. And that's the thing. I think when you talk about the deeper part of it, I initially had mixed feelings on it. I was kind of like 50-50 when I first saw what happened and pieced everything together and realized that it probably was real and not necessarily a publicity stunt. On the one hand, I felt like a man trying to defend his wife is a natural reaction of a husband.
Yes, absolutely.
And I got that. And I did understand that even though I try to stay away from celebrity buzz and celebrity culture, because like you said, they don't pay my bills, you still hear things, you still see memes. I think things have been building from Will's perspective for quite some time, with people talking about his family, his marriage, you know, their intimate life, all of that. So I get it. I get that sometimes enough is enough. I do understand that. However, to me, this seemed to be disproportionate to the joke that was made. The reaction to me seemed to be disproportionate to the joke that was made. I have no idea if Chris Rock knew she had alopecia. I did not know that she had alopecia. It was my sister in like a family group thread that said that is why, you know, she was bald. That's why she was rocking the hairstyle. It wasn't just a fashion choice. It's a medical reason. So I get that. But a G.I. Jane joke, that's pretty tame in comparison to what I've heard other people say and other people making memes about and other people referencing. So it seems like maybe this was, to use the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back. It's not that that last straw is so heavy or so much more egregious than the other ones. It's just that it's the weight of everything else that causes somebody to snap and break. And that's kind of what I took from it. Just, I don't think it was solely about that joke. I don't think it was solely about Chris Rock. I think it was the straw that broke the camel back.
So I'm going to go into some things, and we're going to talk about Chris first, because I know that Will is the one that's been talked about the most, which I totally get why. But I do want to talk about Chris really quickly. And I just want to say, you know, we're going to unpack some mental stuff that probably was going on there. And we're going to have, you know, some discussion about that. So I want to start off with Chris and just a little bit of context. So the history between the Smiths and Chris Rock is a little shaky. I don't know how many of you aren't aware that Chris hosted the Oscars in 2016. And when he hosted the Oscars, that is the year that Jada had decided to boycott the Oscars because, we know that historically the Oscars have not shed a lot of light on Black talent, on Black people. And so her intention was to bring light to that. And she had decided that she was not going to be in attendance that year. And, you know, it kind of became a thing. And I don't know if that was the year that it was trending Oscar so white on Twitter. It might have came later, but it was a thing. Okay. It was a thing. And so in Oscar's defense, this is my personal opinion, Will, I feel like they really have tried to make more steps and more strides to be more inclusive. And that's why I was really excited about this Oscar, because I knew that a lot of Black people were going to be on it. And so anyway, so Chris comes out, he's telling a joke. And I thought about that because, you know, everybody talked a lot about Chris and the joke and how it was crass. And I definitely agree. And I've watched so much stuff about this to really get myself versed and prepared. And they were saying, I was watching, so I guess we seen it later because of the time, and we got an edited version. The world got the raw action, everything. And so they were saying, when I was watching this particular news reporter from Australia, he was saying that when Chris made the joke, people kind of gasped, like people weren't laughing, that they might have edited sound into the video to make it, when we see it, like more people were laughing, but a lot of people weren't laughing because I think a lot of people at this point are aware of the issue as far as Jada, you know, having alopecia. And so with that being said, I agree with you, Tiff. I think, you know, comedians have a tough job because essentially a lot of them, I'm not going to say all of, but a lot of them make fun of and make light of the things that we think, but we're not bold enough to say, or the things that are happening in the world that is heavy. And so, you know, we like that. I know I have been to many a comedy shows. Hey, I'm Smocy, thanks for coming. And I know ECOUIA sits in the back because you're not going to make fun of me, but
I've been roasted so many times because I like to sit front and center. So I've been roasted on everything.
See, I ain't going to even act like I ain't above.
But it's part of the experience. It's part of the experience.
So see, girl, I sit in the back because I'm like, Will, am I gonna have to smack you? Is you going too far with the teasing? So I don't sit in the front, and so they do that, right? That's their job, and so a lot of remarks were made about their job, and this is my mindset and what I was thinking. Like, okay, so I work on an airplane. My job is to tell people to wear their mask. A lot of people don't want to wear their mask. A lot of us are over it. I get it. And I thought about how many people are being physically attacked right now and how that is on the rise right now.
Yep.
With people being upset. And I thought about, I wonder if that might have been what he felt, because you're doing your job, right? And your job ain't always pretty. It ain't always nice. It don't always call for the things that people would like, but you're doing what you essentially think is your job. You're in a professional, right? They're both professionals. They're both at an award show that, for their industry, they're the highest in it. And so I'm sure he probably was thinking, I'm telling a joke. And when Will came up there, I doubt very seriously if he thought that was going to happen.
Yep.
And so once it happened, I'm going to tell y'all right now. Now, look, y'all, I don't think violence is the way. Okay. But if you come on stage and you slap me, or you just slap me, I don't know if I'm going to just take it like that and be able to just let you slap me. So I have to give props to him for allowing that to happen and to still be able to be professional, still host the show.
He completely maintained his composure.
Just to maintain that. And I think, I don't know people, but I really hope that we really are thinking about like what that would take for somebody to really endure that. And so I just want to unpack that a little bit mentally, like, when someone, because it happens a lot right now, not so much physically. I mean, physical stuff's happening, but I feel like online with the bullying and people just feeling okay to say things. And even with him, with his joke, I really think we live in a culture that people feel empowered and okay to do and say things that they wouldn't have done. And it's really translating, I feel like, into real life a lot more than I ever remember it. And so you, Tiff, as a person who works in mental health, what are some ways, some tools, or some things that we can deal with when we are confronted with situations that are overwhelming, or just the fact that, you think that you're doing A and then it's turned into like B?
Right. I think that there's two lessons here, or there's more than two, but there's two things that I took immediately from it for both parties, which is for Chris Rock, you realize that sometimes everybody don't want to be played with. Everybody doesn't play and joke the way you play and joke.
Right.
For Will, know your triggers, and have a plan of action for when you encounter those triggers.
Yes.
I think that, like I had touched on before, when you allow hurt or disrespect or anything, even perceived slights, to just build up over time, it can make an outburst more likely. And sometimes that outburst hits a worthy target, and sometimes it just hits whoever is closest, whoever is around you. It's important to handle things, even the small things, if you can, when it happens, so that it is not building up one stick of dynamite at a time, and then whoever just happens to light something around it, everything goes kaboom, and then everything's laid waste. So I think kind of addressing that buildup of hurt and pain, and even just stress in general. I understand stress. I know you shared, even earlier in this live, but you shared with me, you've gone through a lot. You've lost a lot of people, and I'm very, very sorry for that. My family has lost our mother-in-law this year. Sometimes those stressors, it puts you at a 9, and it doesn't take much more to get to a 10. But you have to try to address them as they come, as to not allow it to build up. And sometimes addressing it as it comes is going to therapy. Sometimes addressing it as it comes is speaking to someone directly. speaking to them ahead of time and saying, hey, this is a tough time for me. So please watch your mouth around me this evening. Please watch your mouth around my family. We're going through something right now. Please, this is not on the table. This is not something that I want to talk about. This is a boundary for me. Expressing those boundaries can also prevent sometimes that buildup from happening if you're able to express your boundaries clearly and communicate clearly before you're at the point that you're at a 10. And
I want to just say this real quick. That's so good that you're saying that, because I attended therapy last year, and one of the things that they were talking about is setting up boundaries immediately, like as soon as you can. Saying, okay, this is a boundary. We ain't gonna go here. We ain't gonna go there. Like setting up those boundaries immediately is something that's really important. So I would really advise everybody to think about those boundaries and things that are important to you. Things are like triggers, things are like no-goes, all those things. So I'm sorry.
And no. Like you said, the sooner the better. Now, if you're already at a 10, then it's probably not a great time to communicate boundaries at that moment. But to address something relatively soon when it happens, or even before it happens, to let someone know. I've let people know that there were things that I was sensitive about when I was going through it. Don't make jokes about, I don't know, my big forehead. I'm not sensitive about it anymore, but I don't like jokes about my big forehead. I don't like jokes about this. I don't like, please don't do that. And sometimes just communicating those boundaries, no matter how silly they may seem, communicating them clearly is the way to go. And when you talk about triggers, knowing your triggers is stage 1. And this is something that I've struggled with as well. But stage 2 is having a plan in place for when you encounter them. There's nothing wrong with having triggers. We all have triggers. We all have things we're sensitive about. It could be our profession. It could be our education level. It could be our hair, our weight, our skin, whatever. We all have things that we feel sensitive about, or situations that would trigger us. A lot of people have encountered abuse. I know that Will also was a victim of abuse and saw his mother be abused. Being around violent situations can be a trigger for some people. If fights break out, being around a family member that abused you in the future, still having to see them, things like that, that can be a trigger. Knowing the triggers is one thing, but having a plan for when you encounter them, that is essential. Your plan might be to leave immediately when you're faced with your trigger. And that might be step 1. Maybe at that point, that's what you do. And that's how you keep things from escalating to a situation of violence. The trigger may be go get some fresh air and reassess from outside. It may be call a family member that's trusted, that you can say, I wasn't really expecting this to happen, but I'm feeling some kind of way right now. Can you talk me through this? Can you talk me off the ledge?
Yes.
But no matter what the plan is, call it a therapist. No matter what the plan is, you have to have a plan in place, because those triggers are going to come. And I think when you're triggered by something, you don't know your triggers, it's very easy to escalate, and the situation becomes worse than even what it initially was, because your knowledge of self and your plan of how to handle it is just, there's no plan in place. So the emotions kind of take the driver's seat. And I always encourage people, we have to be in touch with our emotions. Our emotions guide us, but they cannot control us.
Ooh, I like that. Because I am, I think we all have a side to us that's logical and a side that's emotional. And I know I lean towards the emotional, and, a young thug, did lean in her 2.0 years a little bit more towards the violent side. So I'm not about to be up here acting like, I ain't never wanted to slap the taste out of somebody's mouth or wanted to get in that way. I'm just going to keep it 100. I'm blessed that the times that I was ignorant, it was not on film, and did not press charges against me. But I definitely have experience, that in having to learn how to take some of the emotions. And one thing that I really have learned to live by is feelings are not facts.
Yes.
Feelings are not facts, because you can feel something so strongly, and then, years from now, a minute from now, feel different. Like I said, I have experienced a lot of death. Like, just recently, God bless, my cousin passed away that day. Like, we were having a good day. Everything was good. we get the news he died, and it was like, boom. Like, it was just like everything was just, we forgot that we just had a good time earlier the day. So, you know, really being aware of our emotions. And I really want to talk about this because I feel like as Black people, we really do not spend enough time acknowledging our emotions, especially, I'm just going to go here, Black men. I know at least the era that I grew up in, for lack of a better word, I'm just going to keep it 100, y'all. That was punk. You a punk. You crying. You a sissy. You weak. It was a sign of weakness. You crying. You sad. You were supposed to be a man. Toughen up. Toughen up. And I definitely think there is a strength in not living in that sadness and not living in that. But I also think it's a huger disservice to not acknowledge when you're sad or when you're feeling some kind of way and just to act like it's not there. And I think a lot of Black men really grow up, especially in the hood, experiencing that. You cannot be too emotional. I think it's really looked at as a weakness, feminine, just it's not in high regards. When in honesty, I personally feel that a man who's really in touch with his emotions and can communicate them clearly, I feel like that's really strength. But our community, we don't value that. And I hope that this video and this conversation and stuff, like this will make it more okay for you to, as a man and as women too, because Black women, we superheroes, to be okay with not being okay.
Yes.
And say that you're not okay.
Yes. I think that society puts out a message to men, but particularly to Black men, that the only emotion acceptable to showcase is anger.
Yes.
And any other emotion, sadness, confusion, anything else other than anger and lust, you shouldn't be feeling it as a man. And if you're feeling it, you dang sure not supposed to talk about it.
Right.
Keep it to yourself.
Right.
And that's extremely damaging. All human beings experience a wide range of emotions and should be able to express them appropriately. But when you limit men to really one emotion, anger, then you're surprised that is the hammer that they hit everything with, is the anger hammer. That's the only tool you gave them. That's it. So that's all you gave them.
Get into the chat a little bit. So everybody is saying hi to each other. Busy Bee Bus Top says, I'm here twice. Says Kai Miracle said, oh, you making quotables now. I love it. Yes, we trying to. That's what
Hi, Simone C.
Vicky said, amen. Uniquely Vicky said, our community has a lot of healing to do. Absolutely. And that's really what a lot of these conversations led me to, and what really made me want to talk about it. Because I try and we talk about gossipy stuff, but I try to take stuff and make it a little bit more solid and tangible about that. And that's what really led me to this, Vicky. So I'm glad you said that, because we have a lot of healing that we have to do. And she also said that our men aren't allowed to be vulnerable, and I agree 100%. Yes. And I think that's part of the problem, because one of the things that you hear people saying, which I really am saddened by, is people are either cheering Will on for slapping him and saying that Chris is a punk because he ain't did nothing, or they're, just glorifying or making light of something that's really seriously, and a lot of people go to jail for. Yeah, and I know that we have a history in our community of laughing things off, or I know that is a way that people deal sometimes with trauma. Is kind of like a
coping mechanism. Yeah.
So I also understand that is a defense mechanism, right? But we really have to, sometimes maybe look at, I'm laughing, but is it hurting? Am I laughing because it's funny, or am I laughing to keep from crying? Am I laughing to keep from being devastated, hurt? Am I laughing as a way to get through this? And I think a lot of times we laugh to cope. It's a coping.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. We laugh to cope.
Go ahead.
Hi, Busy Bee. I think that he did ruin his moment. I agree with that.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think that sometimes, if we're going to do anything as Black people, we're going to find a way to laugh at her. And it is a coping mechanism. It is a defense mechanism. Sometimes it's the only thing that we can do when we feel powerless. But this situation, as funny as the memes are, and I'm not going to lie, I have laughed at quite a few since this has all started, but as funny as the memes are, at the end of the day, this was a Black man smacking, another Black man. And I don't ever want to see that in the media. I don't ever want to turn on my TV and see that this happened on national television. It's not a good look. I understand everybody's human. I've slapped somebody in the face before.
Yeah.
We all probably have done something, in the heat of the moment. But I think how we treat each other as a community and how we see each other as a community comes into play. Like you said, these are two icons. These are two people that have paved the way for Black entertainers today to have a seat at the table.
Right.
And to see them at odds to the point that it got physical on camera is very disturbing to me. I think we laugh, but if you really were to think of it, many of us that have had violence directed at us, we were not made better by that.
No.
People are like, oh, it's just, it's just this, it's just that. I believe in smacking people. I believe in punching people. And I'm not a pacifist. I think that there are some situations that physical reaction is warranted. I don't think a person telling jokes on a stage that's paid to tell jokes on a stage, they may be distasteful. I don't think that warrants physical violence, in my opinion. And to see that, you just think of, like people have said, if that was Seth Rogen on that stage that made that joke, would Will Smith have gone up there and punched him? If it was Jerry Seinfeld or, whoever, would he have gone up there and did that to Ricky Gervais?
Yeah.
But on the other end of the coin, would Chris Rock have made that joke to a white woman that had a buzz cut in the audience?
Right.
People are saying it in both ways. Would that joke have happened if it wasn't Jada, if it wasn't at a Black woman's expense?
Yeah.
So I think it really makes you wonder, how do we see each other and how do we treat each other, not for the purpose of being part of the larger society and being worried about how the larger society sees us, or the dominant cultural group here, which is white Americans, but for ourselves. How are we treating each other between ourselves, for ourselves? That's something that I thought about.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the same thing. Like, if either one of them were white, what would this be like? What would be different? And it really made me look at, we have to do better at seeing each other, because I know a lot of people make comments like, this happen in the hood all the time. You see this kind of stuff all the time. And it just spoke to how we are so desensitized.
Yeah, and you do, and that's bad. And you do, and it doesn't make your life better that you see it.
But if you really think about it, that ain't cool. That ain't cool that two men feel comfortable slapping each other and disrespecting each other. Like, that's really not cool. And I just want to acknowledge a couple things that's going on in the chat really quickly.
Yes.
So, Busy Bee Tapa said, is that respectability politics? Uniquely Vicky said, I think Will laughing at first was a coping reaction to feeling uncomfortable about the joke. Yes, because when they showed the footage, he was laughing at first, and then the camera went away, and next thing we know, Chris Rock was like, "Uh-oh, he coming." Sammy came into the building. Hey, Sammy.
Hey, Sammy.
I agree, Busy Bee. I'm not for the respectability politics. Uniquely Vicky said, you both are bringing up some points I had. Good, Uniquely Vicky. Visiting Val said, keep up the great work, ladies. Thank you so much. Kai Miracle said, I do think it would have been different story if one of them was white, though. I agree, Kai Miracle. I agree. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, you guys. And then he saw his wife. Kai Miracle, yeah, I think he saw his wife, because if you look, Will is laughing, but Jada never laughed.
Never.
She never laughed. It was
she
never
her eyes
to her. And I'm sure part of that had to do with her living with a serious condition. And I also, to be honest, I also feel like it also could have come from him making shots in earlier years about her and saying things. You know what I'm saying? And we can unpack that a little bit. It's never, you know, when you're public, and to a certain extent, we all are public because most of us probably have some kind of social media profile, you know, and nowadays people feel really empowered, right or wrong, to say whatever they want to say to anything you post, any pictures, any video topics, or, you know, like this topic, everybody's talking about it. And so, you know, just being more mindful of what we're saying and what's going on, because he think he making a joke because her head is bald. He might have thought she was looking cute and trying to rock a new style, and she made, you know, even though she has put up a really strong front and has said, you know, I'm embracing my hair, because I did see a video when I was doing like research for this where she said she was embracing her hair and everything. It still doesn't mean that's what she wanted for herself. You know, she's embracing something that she has no control over. So, you know, you got to remember that we don't always know what's going on with people. You know, we don't always know what's going on. You know, Will was laughing, but like you said, Vicky, he might have been laughing because he was uncomfortable and that was his reaction. So you don't know. So you do have to be really careful and really mindful of what you say to people, how you talk to people, and just know that everything ain't always what we see it as.
Yes. You don't know what people are going through at home. You don't know what they're going through in their personal lives. And that's something that I think about often, you know, from my time of being a counselor and also from just kind of being in that role in my family, you know, and in my friends group too. You just don't know. Sometimes you can say something lightly and it really hits a sore spot in somebody. And I just think in general, especially when I'm dealing with our community, I try to always lead with love. And if I don't know if somebody is cool about something, I'm much more likely to make a joke about myself and use a little self-deprecating humor than to joke about something with somebody else. But again, you know, in Chris's defense, his job is to kind of roast a little bit. But again, not everybody plays the way you play. That's one of the takeaways from that sometimes people they've just had enough. It's a sore subject and you can't go there. You can't go there. And I think with Black women in hair in general, you know it, I know it. We've heard the jokes. Oh, you bald headed. Oh, you know, whatever. Somebody said Buzz Topic said they were in my live today talking trash, you know, talking about a wig model and this and stuff, you know. People always have something to say when it comes to Black women's hair, and I understand that it gets grating. It gets irritating. So I get that part of it too. I think because I did not notice she had alopecia, someone either in Chris's camp or the writers table behind the Oscars, somebody should have been like, cut that one, I think, because of alopecia. For whatever reasons, it got through the cracks though.
Well, Busy Bee is asking a good topic. She said, will that change coming in the future? I think it will. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it will. I don't know how, but I definitely think it will, because I do think that there is an element of comedians, like we said, you know, being able to talk about things and do certain things and say certain things that the average person cannot say, right? That's the wit and the talent.
Right.
But I also think that it's probably going to have to be done now in a more conscious way, which is a good thing, I would hope. And like you said, I think people are going to have to do a little bit more fact checking. And, you know, comedians do talk about whatever the latest thing is. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the latest thing is. So it's going to be hard for them. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be, I feel like, hard for them to be able to really tell jokes, because
what's in bounds and what's out of bounds.
I think that's really great.
If you're going to be getting punched at your job, I'm not making any jokes about anything. If assault is an option, I'm not going to be making jokes
you know,
about anything. And that's kind of sad.
You and other comedians, and that's what they were saying. What's her name? Amanda Seals was like, you come to my show, I'm gonna be talking. And you better not get yourself up here and think you're going to say
right.
So,
no.
I definitely, that's one of the things that I think, we're really going to have to think about. Are we as a society going to be able to just kind of take some hits on the chin? Or are we going to be like, nah, you can't go there. So let me see. Tanya S. said, alopecia can truly devastate a woman's confidence and cause her extreme emotional distress. I totally understand that. Kai Miracle said, I hope not. I think that's why we need to not act like Will Smith was correct. Comedians play an important role in society. I agree with you 100%, Kai Miracle. And I know I'm a big fan. I like Chris Rock, but I really love Dave Chappelle. And I know Dave Chappelle, some of the stuff he was saying.
Dave Chappelle lets them have it. Dave Chappelle doesn't
like
hold back.
People were like, Netflix, they was like, get him off. Like, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to see that. But I think that part of what he was brilliant, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I feel like he was able to say things in a certain way. And then his last special, I know a lot of people felt like he really has a lot to say about trans women, especially. But to me, he made that trans woman that killed herself or whatever, committed suicide. Let me get it right. I don't want to be disrespectful. Committed suicide. He really made her human. And when he talked about her opening up for him, he really, in my opinion, talked about her in a way that made her human and made her relatable. Because I can't, I'm not 100%, I can't always say I 100% relate and understand everything that a trans person is experiencing or thinking, but he definitely put some humanity in that person, and I was able to understand, some of the things that the trans woman was experiencing. So I definitely, hope that we can still, because I'm with you, Kai Miracle, I agree. Comedians are a huge part, and I like to laugh. I do.
Yes,
so I hope that
I like to laugh.
Be able to continue. And in some part, I think that's part of healing too, is being able to truly laugh at ourselves, not, defense kind, but truly laugh at ourselves. And kind of see ourselves in a funny way. And so I'm going to close up this part, talking about Chris. We're going to get into unpacking Will a little bit more. But I just wanted to say that, I really, like I said earlier, I really commend Chris for being a professional and being able to take that, because I know, I'm going to tell you right now, the show would have been over. Okay. If that was me, the show is over. It's done.
That's it. Right. Roll credits.
Because I don't know. I'm just gonna be on 100. I don't know if I can let you. I pray every day that somebody don't act like a complete maniac at my job, because I don't know if I am mature enough, wise enough, emotionally there enough to be like, no. Because I think naturally, when someone is attacking you, your natural reaction is to defend yourself. Absolutely. Just like we're kind of gonna, use that to transpire to. I think it is natural for someone to want to defend their wife, to protect their wife. I know a lot of the conversation is shifting towards protecting Black women, and I do think that is a very important conversation. But for me, I think this particularly incident was more about him protecting his wife, because I don't feel like alopecia is something that is specific to Black women.
It's not.
I feel like Will has a Black wife. He was trying to protect his Black wife. And I do think there is very legitimate conversations and stuff to be had about that topic. But I want to talk about, and Kai, you and are in here, I know that you are a married man, and you for sure can put some, your 2 cents in the chat. I would love to hear it. Protecting people that you love and what that looks like. I know for me, it could look violent. I'm just going to be 100 with you, because I'm the type of person, you can say what you want to say about me, but you're not going to talk about my mama.
Right.
You're not going to be disrespecting people I love. We just not going to do that. And so, like Kai said, I'm wondering, when that camera went back to Chris and Will seeing his wife, if there was an element of that. Now, am I saying in that situation, that was a situation worth that? No, but I do know that there are situations, and I do know it can evoke that type of emotion. I'm not even going, I think we all have to be honest. We can relate to people talking about, your children or people that you really love and care about. And this is an issue for them, how that can evoke some serious emotion. Absolutely. And so I I just want to kind of like, unpack that a little bit, Tiff, and just talk about, with that kind of thing, like that protection and that wanting to protect somebody you love.
I think it's a normal reaction. It's a normal reaction, especially for a man. I know my husband, he is cool-headed, he is rational, he's respectful. He's also someone that would kill me for me, not kill me, but kill for me if it came to that. Right. He would defend me with his life. So I get it. It's a normal reaction. Yes. When it's somebody that you love, whether it be your spouse or, like you said, your kids. It's a normal reaction to want to defend them. When you see someone being wounded and degraded and disrespected repeatedly, especially because I feel like it's been a lot of media buzz around them since the whole entanglements with August situation. I feel like there's been a lot of disrespect, and I think everyone has a limit. And I can relate to it as well, though I don't agree with what Will did, and I certainly don't think that it makes him strong or makes him a gangster or anything like that. I don't see it that way, but I absolutely can relate. If you keep, poking the bear, something's going to happen. Sure. But I think tempering that again with there's a phrase that my therapist years ago told me. Mm-hmm. It may be justified, but is it effective?
That's really good.
And when I first heard that, I was immediately irritated because I was talking about a situation where I felt justified in going off of somebody. But the whole reason that I wanted to go off on them was because I was upset that we didn't have as close a relationship as I wanted us to have. And so my reaction was to, I'm mad at you. You don't this, you don't that, whatever. But if my end goal is to be closer to somebody, I might be justified in fussing them out about whatever, but is that effective in reaching my end goal? If your end goal is to make sure that your spouse is protected or respected, or not talked about in the media, you might be justified in punching someone out or slapping them in their face, but is that going to be effective? Because now this is what everyone's talking about, and everybody's bringing up the whole situation, prior jokes that people have made that were much worse than Chris's. Right. As a result of that, is your spouse more protected today than she was on Sunday? Now everybody's rehashing everything. People are online calling her all kinds of names and saying, I wouldn't have defended this blankety blank. And I'm like, geez, wow. It might be justified, but is it effective?
That is so good, Tiff. That is like a nugget. That is going to help somebody.
It helped me. It helped me because it's like you're not saying that you're wrong. You're not saying that.
As Tapa said, that's a word. Yana said, well, I like that. And it's so true. I definitely think, it's a time and place for everything. And I do think, like you were saying, the emotions, rise up. But, just also, I think a technique to dealing with that is just remembering, the time and the place. And like you said, is this the result? Is this effective? Because I can definitely tell you, I definitely don't think that Will is very happy today.
I don't think so either.
I don't think this is what he wanted for his legacy. That man has worked really, really hard to transition from being this, in my opinion, like this Kitty Moore kind of style rapper to like a serious actor and a serious contender in Hollywood, and now, unfortunately, when we talk about him winning an Oscar, it's going to be connected to this instead of his body of work, his talent, his ability, his skill, and everything that he has been doing. Everybody is loving that, Tiff. Everybody is loving that. See, this is why I had my girl on.
Thank you.
I knew she was going to have some for us. But yes, and so I just wanted to get into Will a little bit because Iana asked in the chat, do you think the Smiths put themselves out there too much? And that is something that came out. And I'm Christian, so I quote the Bible a lot, so I'm just going to let you know now. If you ain't with that, okay, that's you. But I'm telling you, this is how I get through my mental stress, my mental health. And so I'm going to quote it a lot. And, the Bible is very clear. Too much is given, much is required. So, people are like, well, they're humans and stuff too. And I get that 100%. But I also know that too much is given, much is required, right? It takes a level of more patience, more skills, a lot more things to attain what they have and to maintain it. And so with that, you got to have some knowledge, some self-control, and some skills. And that's one of the things that I have had to learn, because I'm a very open person. And since I've been on social media more, I have realized the importance of everything don't have to be said. And I would say that is one thing that I have definitely learned from Will and Jada's, entanglement situation. And I just want to unpack that a little bit, and I'm gonna let you give us some more nuggets, Tiff, because I know you got them. So I was watching videos, like I said, and somebody was saying, well, Will and Jada didn't put their business out there. August spoke his truth, and it was put out there. This is what I will say as a married woman. No marriage can look like whatever you want it to look like, because that's your business. Okay. But when you are in the business of allowing your spouse to see other people, whatever name you want to give it or call it, you are inviting other people into it, and you don't have control of what that third party is or is not going to say. So you can't get upset when, like you said, is it effective? You can't be upset when you're inviting other people in and they decide this is now how I'm going to do this now. You understand? It's hard enough just to regulate it and keep it between the two of you. And I've been married for over a decade, so I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I didn't live it, walked it. But you will never see me on screen talking about me and Mr. Silky and different things, because that's not up for your conversation. And I treat all people, whether you're famous, not famous, but even people online. I know I be online like, why is you putting all your business out here like that? And then you want to get upset when somebody uses it. And I watched D.L. Hughley, and he said something that was so profound about that. And he was saying a lot of the stuff that we have heard about the Smiths, unfortunately, has come from them. And he was saying, you don't want to give people the hammers to nail you down. You don't want to give people the hammers to nail you down, because we all know people love to build you up, and they love to tear you down. They will tear you down faster than they built you up. And one thing that I really respect about Beyonce and JayZ is we know that there was an affair, because Beyonce made a whole album about it. But that's all we know. We don't know who Becky with the good hair is. We probably will never know who Becky with the good hair is. And when they have done interviews since then, they speak on it in a way of past tense. And the only thing I've ever even heard, and if I'm wrong, you guys can tell me in chat, JayZ, I've heard him say, yes, I did something that was very hurtful to my wife, and I had to look at myself and, own that. But he never gave us any details. And I don't feel like people owe people that. And so I just want everybody in this chat and anybody watching the replay to be aware of what you put out there, because right or wrong, when you bring people in and you put stuff out there, whether you like it or not, you are giving them the opportunity to have an opinion on something. And if you don't want people to have an opinion on it, you do not have to talk about it. You do not owe people that. So you will never, ever, ever, ever hear me talk about certain things, because it is not up for debate or discussion. And so I would love to hear you, unpack that a little bit for us and with us, about the things that we do and say, and how much is enough and how much is too much.
I think that this new era that we're in, as far as technology and the internet and social media, has a lot of people confused, and they feel like everything needs to be or should be publicized and monetized for consumption.
Yes.
And I think that all of us kind of have a little bit of that, because we're all adjusting to this new age, and a lot of younger people are born into this age where just everything is out everywhere. And again, if you don't have a problem with everyone knowing everything and everyone bringing up everything and everyone debating everything and everyone writing think pieces and essays on every aspect of your life, then that's okay. But if you're going to be sensitive about it, I think that there are some things that are meant to be private. And I am a very open person. I talk with my friends and my family about a lot of things. And I talk about things, you know, even on my Instagram or stuff like that, that are sensitive topics. But I never make, it's always a decision. I never make the decision to bring up something that I don't want to return to me later. Amen. If I know I don't want to hear about it later, or I don't want to hear other people's opinions on it, or I don't want to get a DM of, well, you know what, I think, then I know not to bring that up at that time. And I think we all kind of need to take a moment and think about that. Not everything is for public consumption. Not everything is a product. Your marriage is not a product. Your family is not a product.
Yes.
Your sex life is not a product. I mean, for some people it is, but you know, unless you work in that industry, it doesn't have to be publicized and monetized. And this is the thing with some celebrities, you know, if you make that choice, that's your choice, but there are going to be consequences. You're making money off of it. You're getting clicks off of it. So you're going to be getting opinions off of it. It kind of comes with the territory. I don't envy a celebrity. I know it has to be unimaginably difficult to have millions and millions of eyes on you all the time. But I agree, don't give the person the bullet to load into the gun to shoot you with if you can avoid it. Some stuff comes out and it's not their fault. They don't release it.
Right.
You invite other people in, like you said, that's a whole nother human being. That's a whole nother human being that you can't control, that has their own emotions and that have the right to discuss their experiences and live in their truth, as this, you know, as people say now, live their truth.
Live their truth, yeah. Because I feel like August, I don't remember a lot because I didn't get involved in all the entanglement stuff, but I do remember feeling like, okay, well, he
Hey, Deanna.
Hey, Deanna, welcome, boo. He was talking about his experience, you know what I mean? And then Jada and Will sat down and talked about their experience. And when I was doing my research for this, I seen Will get really upset with Gail on an interview when she was like, well, there was, you know, infidelity in your marriage. And he was like, well, it wasn't infidelity. He was like, it, you know, it's nothing that me and Jada do that's not talked about. And I understand that if you and Jada feel like y'all can date or do whatever y'all want to do, you like it, I love it. But you also have to understand that what comes with that is somebody else can do the same. And they get to now partake and say and make the rules and play the game their way. Yep. So you just have to be careful with that, because I see it more and more. And, you know, like I said, I don't have nothing to say about how you run your marriage.
Right.
My marriage is very traditional, Christian. It's a you and me thing. Ain't no sister wifing. Ain't no side boo chicks. You know what I'm saying? I didn't sign up for that.
Right.
I didn't sign up for that. But I feel like more and more people are signing up for that. And it's becoming more and more of a public thing. And if that's going to be your thing, that's going to be your thing. But I really want people to understand that what comes with that. Because you get so many people, you know, this is our bedroom and you don't get to talk about. Would nobody know that if you didn't let somebody in your bedroom? And that's just how I feel about that. Nobody would know those things that go on if you was not. Okay, so we don't. I don't do that. But for those of you who do or who feel okay about that, really need to unpack and think about that, because that is the reality of it.
That is the reality of it. Yeah,
you know, you are inviting somebody else into the conversation, whether you want them to be or not.
You are inviting somebody else in. You're inviting their comments. You're inviting their feelings. You're inviting their anger if things don't go the way that they envisioned it going. You're inviting their retaliation, and you're inviting a lot of things. I have friends that I am very close with that live out on the West Coast, and obviously I'm not going to name them because they're very private, but they have been married for like a decade. They opened their marriage up. They're very okay talking to close friends about their experiences. But when it comes to anybody else, they're like, hey, we're private. I don't want my coworkers, I don't want my whatever to know this. I'm not putting up pictures of anyone else that I'm dating, you know, in my office. I'm not doing it. And they're very, very private about it because they don't feel like, dealing with it. And luckily they have had people that were on the same page, but that's a whole lifestyle. When you talk about, polyamory and open marriages and things like that, you can plan, you can have boundaries around it. You can say, this is what I'm into, but there's always going to be that element of it's another person involved. It's a wild card involved, and it's a risk. It's a risk.
It is a risk.
You just have to assess if the risk is, worth the reward.
Like my girl said,
particular situation.
Is it giving you the results?
Right. People picture one thing when they think about open relationships and open marriages and polyamory, but the reality of it often looks very different than what they expect. And they may think, oh, this is going to be fun, this is going to be whatever, but sometimes feelings get involved. And I feel like this was a great example of that. People have feelings. People have feelings. People are going to want to share their feelings and their experiences, and that's, you can't vilify somebody for that if it's inconvenient for you that they want to share their feelings. And yeah, Deanna said, I was very surprised to see how many people sided with Will after. I was too, to be honest. I'm not a pacifist. I don't think that, that violence should never, ever occur. There are times that violence is justified, but growing up in a city that's known for its violence and seeing violence, I don't think words are it for me.
Yes.
It's going to have to be a physical threat, someone threatening my safety for me to go to that level. But other people do feel differently about it. I was surprised. I saw people blaming Jada, saying that she weaponized Will. And I'm like, he's a grown man, but people are like, well, she put the battery pack in him and hit the on switch, and then he went up there. I'm like, yo, that's a hot take for sure.
Right. I mean, it's just simple. Like, I think really it's deeper than that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because I think people were like simplifying it. It's much deeper than he just got, she told a joke about his wife and he just went up there and slapped that man. I think it's deeper than that. And I think if you're really paying attention and, just have some, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for right now, but I think we all know that a joke by a comedian is not enough to warrant that something that extreme, because even though she is living with a health issue and it was distasteful, it wasn't extreme. No. It wasn't extreme. So, that's why I really, like I said, wanted to talk about this and really unpack this, because I really feel, and I have prayed for Will Smith, because I feel like it's something deeper that child is going through. It's something way deeper that he is going through, that he would be able to just like that go from laughing to an assault. It's definitely something deeper than that. And just really use that moment to look at ourselves and make sure that we're looking and seeing what's going on that's deeper, and things that, like you said, triggers, and things that can trigger us, and things that'll have us out here doing stuff. Because a lot of us, me included, have done stuff. I'm grateful that it's not on camera. It's not out in the world to see.
Same.
I have been through things, and I'm glad that it's not been for the world to see. And I can't imagine what that feels like. But I also, like you said, know that you, like I said earlier, when you've been blessed with something and you have been giving something, it is your job. When God blesses you, because that's how I feel, that man has been blessed by God. You have to do certain things to maintain that. So I'm just going to get in the chat a little bit. It said, Uniquely Vicky said, I think a lot of Black women, it just popped away. Oh, I'm sorry, Vicky. Let me go back up. I'm sorry, y'all. Bear with me.
A lot of Black women were just glad to see a Black man protecting his wife. I see it, yeah.
And I can understand that more than, it was, protect Black women, because I feel like that's more what he felt that he was doing. And I'll read his apology in a minute, because that's what he said. And but I think there are wiser ways to protect your wife, especially if it's not a physical attack being done. Yanni said, I know a lot of people that blame Jada. Tanya said, well, Will went from Hollywood elite to West Philadelphia, born and raised in and then crying. I can't. Y'all know y'all crazy. Deanna
I
said,
know.
I think Will is going through a lot with his marriage and in the media, and he's been keeping it bottled up, and it just exploded. Absolutely, Deanna, 100%. And that's why we're talking about this today, is because it's it's the mental health. It's I'm not okay. This is not okay. I'm tired. And instead of, I feel like him taking a break and, sitting back, and I don't know what his money looks like. Will is a whole machine. It's a lot of people eating off of Will Smith. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we don't realize it's a whole bunch of people that are getting paid, paying their bills, taking care of their family because of Will Smith. So it might not be as easy as I want to take a break and I need to take a break. But I definitely hope that at this point, people will make room for that. People will make room for that. And even for your own self, make room for that. Because I know I have worked myself to the point to where, I'm not kidding. I told my cousin, if I wake up in Kaiser, and for those of you guys who don't know where Kaiser is, that's a huge hospital out here. I was like, if I wake up in Kaiser, I wouldn't even be shocked. And he was like, why are you acting like that's normal? Like, I can't even believe that you're talking to me like that's just normal. That is so ignorant and terrible. Like, no, ma'am, sit down. So, you can definitely work yourself, and even us in real life, like balancing. We just came out of a pandemic. We're in a war. Inflation is insane. Everything is high. Trying to pay your bills, go to work, do all this stuff. People's mental health is like being stretched.
Hanging on a thread.
Girl, yes, stretched to the end. So, and it just goes to show you, because I know for a lot of people, they feel like, well, if I had his money or certain things, that it would be easier, but nothing exempts you from the human experience. Nothing exempts you from the human experience. And it just goes to show you that even people who have a ton of resources and have it somewhat easier in ways still are subject to mental health, bad choices, embarrassment, they're still having human experiences. They're still having human experiences. Iana said, I agree, Vicky, but my question is, did he ever say something when all the comments and things with August came out? I didn't really follow along, but I would have liked to see him come out then. I don't remember.
Nothing. He was on Red Table Talk.
Yeah, they had a Red Table Talk. Yeah, they had a Red Table Talk, and I didn't really watch that because, like I said, I'm not really into all that.
Well, I don't really do the camera because my hair is a mess. But hi everybody. But yes,
that's my mom talking. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, they did. Hey, they did have a discussion at the Red Table, and to me, my opinion, I feel that Will was very demasculated at the table with Jada.
Okay.
Because she made it very clear that, pretty much in a nutshell, she didn't say these exact words, but she pretty much pointed to herself and basically said that she could screw who she wanted to screw, and they don't have to get permission from him. It's up to her. Because I think August Alsina had made a statement that Will Smith had given him his blessings and told him that it was okay and for him and his wife to go ahead.
Sure.
And so Jada was basically saying, no, Will can't give anybody permission to screw her. Basically, she's the one who called the shots on that, and she pretty much do what she want to do. And you could just see the hurt that was all over Will Smith, because in my personal opinion, I don't believe Will was up for all of this. I don't think he was really personally ready for all this. He had experienced a divorce. It means a lot to him to have a family and to be a husband and a wife unit and all that.
He definitely seems like he's more traditional, and Jada seems like she's untraditional, for sure.
And in different things, he said that how they celebrate Christmas and the holidays, he said a lot of that stuff. So I think he got in over his head, and he bargained for a little bit more than he could handle. And I think now the chickens are coming home to roost, and he's having a hard time dealing with it. And I think it's just a lot of frustration that has been built up over time, and that I think he's made a lot of sacrifices. And when you compromise your standards, your morals, and your values to please someone else, you're going to be in a wreck. So
woo!
You're going to
crash.
That's
a word.
You're going to crash, because it's hard to live up to that when that's something that is embedded in you. You don't ever compromise your morals and your standards and your values, because that's who you are. That's what you stand on.
Yeah.
And so when you compromise that, your foundation is shaky. So I think we've seen his foundation has crumbled now. It had cracks. It's crumbled now.
Yeah.
And I think Will is at the place where now somebody, his mama, his sister, and his loved ones, they're going to have to rally around that man.
Absolutely.
And somebody's going to say, hey, look, you guys, you need to take a break.
Yes. And
you need to go sit down with somebody. Because we as Black people from slavery on, we have been through a lot of trauma.
Yes.
And a lot of dramatic stuff has happened to us.
Yes.
Our families have been separated. Our men have been beaten. Our women have been raped. None of that stuff has ever been dealt with. And you can say it was 200 years ago, 400 years ago. I don't care. I don't give a damn what date you put on it.
Yeah.
But through the generations,
the pain has passed on
and on and on and on and on. And then Black people in our culture, you know, we don't believe in sitting down and talking to somebody. We went to the liquor store and to the drug man, okay? And that's how we dealt with our shit. And now it's coming to a point where we got mental health going on in the Black community, big time.
Big time.
And we got to sit down and we got to deal with this stuff.
Yes.
And to me, Will is a perfect example, because they taken all of our strong men, and Will is at the highest point when it comes to Black men in Hollywood.
Yes.
He is.
There is no high celebrity.
He doesn't.
That's true.
Denzel doesn't even get paid the money Will Smith does.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Money that Will Smith
yes,
does.
Absolutely.
And we're looking at a broken brother, and we got to be praying for that man. And I'm not interested in who was right, but I'm interested in what was right. And the right thing to do is to pray for both of those families. Because Chris Brown, Jesus. Chris Rock. That man has.
Pray for Chris Brown too.
That man has children. That man have daughters. And don't nobody want to see their dad humiliated before the world like that.
Absolutely.
You understand? Absolutely. So we got a problem going on. And both of them families need to be lifted up in prayer. And we need to be saying, hey, listen.
Yes.
We want our Black men to be healthy and whole.
Yes.
Okay. And we want our Black families to be healthy and whole. We got to get back to what we know.
Yes.
Okay. And we got to stick together. And we need to be praying for both of those families. That's all. I'm done. Yeah. That's all I have to say. But
come on through with the look. Come on.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? We got to be praying for both of them.
Yes.
Because pointing the finger ain't going to solve it. Okay, people, I'm listening to people saying Chris was wrong. I'm listening to people saying Will was wrong. It should have never happened at all.
Right.
I don't think it was deliberate or malicious on
either part. Yeah.
But there was an action and there was a reaction. You understand? It was an action and a reaction. And so let's focus on that, and let's just pray for these people and lift them up before the Lord, because both of them need strength right now. Both of them have been broken and weakened, because ain't nobody could tell me that Will Smith ain't been beat to death, because I know the devil, baby. I know he done beat his ass
He's
to
the accuser of the brethren.
Yes,
the Bible is very clear.
Yes, ma'am. And so I know he's beat him to death. I know Chris Rock doesn't feel good because he might feel less than. I done let this man come up to on the stage and slap him. You know, the devil's busy.
Yes, he is.
He busy. He busy. And so we got to pray for the mind of these men, and pray for their families. And I'm praying that they will get together. I don't care whether it's publicly or privately, because they don't owe us nothing.
Yes.
But get this straight.
Yeah.
Get this straight. Correct this.
Yes.
Correct this.
Yeah.
So that this won't be either one of you guys' legacy. They both of them work too hard.
Yeah.
And we know what it takes for us to get to where to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So we you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get this. Let's pray that they get this worked out.
Yeah.
Get this worked out.
Yeah.
And come together and then come out publicly and let everybody see that the devil.
That would be awesome.
You understand?
I would love to see that.
I would love to see that. To see them do something together.
Come on back out here and stand together.
Yes.
Stand together and let them see that the devil didn't win.
Yes.
Okay? Because ain't nobody got no glory out of this. Didn't nobody win in this. Nobody.
Yes.
So come on back out here, get it together, and then come on back out here as brothers. Yeah. Instead, it is black men. And conquer this, because y'all can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Get that together.
That would be super powerful.
I'm done.
I would love to see that. That's great points. Straight on.
I love it. Mom just hijacked the whole live. All right, miss. Uniquely Vicky said, if Will can fix the situation between him and the mom on Fresh Prince, he can fix it too. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. Kai Miracle said there's a fake statement from Chris Rock going around and he hasn't said anything. No, Chris hasn't said anything. Only person that has really said something publicly since then has been the Smiths. I'm going to pull it up real quick because I wanted to read it for those who haven't seen it or heard it yet. It says, this is Will's. He said, violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job. But a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There's no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will. So I do appreciate him saying that, especially because in his initial speech at the show, there was no acknowledgement to Chris. And I know a lot of people, had a lot to say about that. And so I do think that was good that he, finally did acknowledge that, and, hopefully they can. And then Jada posted, this is a season for healing and I'm here for it. Yes, Kai Miracle, this was his first win. He's been nominated like 3 or 4 times, but this is his first win. So that's why it was kind of, a big deal and an exciting night because, he's definitely deserving of an Oscar. He's definitely, I think Pursuit of Happiness is one of the best movies ever made. And his performance in that was excellent. And he was nominated, but he did not win. He was nominated for Ali and he didn't win. I don't know what other movies he's been nominated for at this point, but yeah, this was definitely his first win. So I'm just going to read a few things. Will has always been so happy and positive. This was a new low for him and it tarnished his first Oscar. Yeah, and that's really sad.
Agree.
And it,
I agree, Deanna.
To why I really wanted us to talk about this, because mental health, you guys, it's a serious thing.
I think that sometimes when we are caught up in our emotions, which is part of being human, we never think about the fallout from our objective in that moment. Things that are done in anger cannot be taken back. And I know my mom once, she loves sending memes. She loves sending Facebook messages. And she sent a picture of a dog, jumping off a cliff, trying to get a bird.
Wow.
Jumping at the bird and then he off the cliff.
Right.
And it said things that can be done in anger cannot be reversed. Sometimes something gets you to the point that you don't even realize it's no ground under you where you're about to go. You're getting ready to fall. You're getting ready to fall. I think the unintended consequences of people, of when we get caught in our emotions, not just people, myself included, when we get caught in our emotions, we don't think about the fallout, not just this being his first Oscar, this being a legacy that he's built up for years, this being something that people will point at and say, look at these people. This is why we have problems with these people. This being something that can be seen as disgracing the Williams family, who's the subject of the film that he got the Oscar for.
Right.
You're not thinking about the other people that are going to be affected by your decision to take things into your own hands, and that you feel so vindicated. You just got to do something. But sometimes thinking about that can take you off the ledge and say, I do have to do something, but maybe not this.
Right.
Maybe it's a conversation. As soon as this blankety blank get off the stage, I'ma jack his tail up and and it's on, but not on live national television. It's just, it's layers to it and it's levels of it, but you're not thinking about that when your emotions are in the driver's seat as opposed to guiding you as a passenger and you're maintaining control.
Yes. And I think that speaks to something that you said earlier. For those of you who came a little bit earlier, please go back and watch it, because Tiff has dropped so many good nuggets in here. But I think that it goes back to when you were saying, like, having a plan, having boundaries. Because I know for me, as a person who is more prone to violence, one of the things that I learned in therapy and in marriage counseling was the thing that we're arguing about and the thing that we're upset about usually isn't the thing it's really about. It's usually, if you take a couple steps back, it's usually really this, and then it's just an added on, and then this broke it, and this is what it is. And he used the analogy, all these little foxes, coming in, before you know it, ain't no more hens. It's been killed everything, right? So you just really want to be aware and make sure. And so that's why it's so important to be aware of what you're feeling like. We're talking about not trying to dismiss this or, but on that thing and know, because, in that moment, I know what I have had to learn too. Feelings aren't facts, because I'm very emotional right now. I'm feeling like slapping somebody, and feelings aren't facts. This is not, okay, how can you? And that's something that I learned how to do. And that's something I really recommend that we all do. Now, am I going to be able to do it all the time? I don't know. My prayer is I can, because like I told y'all in the opening, if I was Chris, the show would have been different, I feel like, today. I feel like the show would have been different. I feel like it would have been ECOUIA and Will was scrapping at the wall.
Right.
I don't feel like it would have been ECOUIA got slapped, okay? I'm just being 100. I'm not about to be up here acting like I can take that right.
Right.
I'm praying. I'm working. I'm going to be fasting on it, okay?
Yes. Yes.
So, to what we've seen him demonstrate is that what we're talking about is being able to really take a moment to assess where I'm at, what I'm doing. Let me regroup. And then I'm sure when he left, I'm sure that there are conversations now being had, and I'm sure that man feels some type of way. But I think it was a perfect example of of how you can handle something like that. And I think it's something that we can, try to aspire or use,
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be on that huge platform, right? In that huge way, but just something as simple as remembering time and place. Like you said, thinking about, is this effective? If this is really giving me the results that I, want. And then for me, I know the other thing that I learned is it going to matter in 2 hours? Is it going to matter in 3 hours? Is it going to matter in days?
That's a great one.
Is it going to matter in years from now? Because I know a lot of times we get stuck in what we feel, but really, what is that really doing in time? You know what I mean? In time, is that really that important? Is it really that big of a magnitude? And I know that is something that has also been something that has really been effective and helped me too, because a lot of times it is just something simple and in that moment. And maybe a couple hours from now, we're not going to even be thinking about that. But in that moment, it's everything. It's everything.
Yes.
In the chat, Tiffany, I love that dog illustration Deanna said. Deanna said, yeah, because something always going on with her, and she always talking about something at Deanna. Oh, Deanna and Yana must have been talking about Jay, the Lord. Deanna said, facts, Silky. Deanna only said, she's very toxic in my opinion, and she sits back at her red table talking about healing and moving forward. Addie Yana. Silky, I know headlines would have been different if Will ran up on you. Girl, pray for you, girl. You know a young thug is want to be spiritual. You know a young thug want to. Yana said, yeah, I think she has some real mental health issues that Deanna, something is just off about her to me. Years from now, people will remember the slap, not the bad joke. Great point, Silky. Yeah, because think about it. In that moment, had Will didn't say nothing, get his award, and then be like, hey, Chris.
Yep.
What you said about my wife wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Girl, everybody would have been like, and that's why we do Will. Okay. So, you know what I mean? Just really think about it, but you have to train yourself to do that. And that's the thing. And that's what I'm hoping we can get from this, is being able to do that, because you're not always going to do that. Like I said, Silky 2.0 was not doing that. Okay. Silky 2.0 was old dog. And we was going to ride out, and we was killing babies and grandmas, and everybody out there was getting it. Silky 4.5 knows that is not effective. Okay? Yeah. So, thank God for growth. Thank God for healing.
Yes.
Thank God for self-reflection.
Yes.
I hope that really everybody watching this, now and on the replay will take some time to do that with their own selves, because you don't want this to, reflect in your life, and it could at any point. Tanya S. said the extra added layer is the fact that it was 2 African Americans. We are always held to a higher standard and expected to be a credit to the race. This is all black taxonomy layers. We about to get into that right now, Tanya.
Can we please get into that? Can we please? Because
Yana, she didn't grow up watching her mother on. Yana, didn't she grow up watching her mother on drugs? I think yes. I think when you're talking to Jada, her mother, I think did talk about that at the red table. Jada's grandmother raised her because she did have a drug problem, and very treacherous, because when they see us, they look at them acting up again. Yes, and so we about to unpack that. Tiff, you want to go ahead?
I want to say one thing.
Unhealthiness of that. We got to free ourselves of black people of that. But go ahead.
I want to say a few things on that.
Yes.
First of all, that's true. What you're saying is true. Anything that we do is going to be we are defined by the lowest of our moments, and other cultures are not. We know that. We know that media and American culture tends to do that with people of color, but particularly I feel like they have a particular disdain for black people because of all we've done in this nation.
Yes.
And all that's been done to us in this nation.
Yes.
That being said, people are saying it's respectability politics to not slap somebody while they're doing their job on a national television show. Yes. I don't see it in that way. Okay. As a black person, I don't want to turn on an award show and see a black man slapping another black man for myself. If I were to have children, I don't want my children to look and, these people are dressed nice and they're giving these speeches and this is so nice. And then this black man jumps on a stage, the most successful actor in history, and slaps another black man upside the head. I don't want to see that for myself. I don't care what white people think about it. And I have friends of all cultures. I have respect for everybody. I know that every culture can be violent. Every culture can have criminals. Every culture can do whatever. But I don't want to see my own doing that for me. It doesn't have anything to do with how white culture or predominant American culture or any other ethnic group in this country sees me. It has to do with how I see me. I don't want to see that. That's traumatizing for me as a viewer to see that type of violence. Absolutely. I don't want to see that on my street. I don't want to see that on my television. I don't want to see that anywhere. And it has nothing to do, in my opinion, from my perspective, with what white people feel about the situation at all.
I agree.
That's just me personally.
I agree with that 100%. I think that, we have to start having the conversations about us seeing each other. And that's what we talked about, me and you personally talked about is, like we talked about growing up in inner cities and in the hood, you see black on black violence and how we become sensitized to it. But is that really okay? Should we really?
It's not okay.
We really be acting like,
it's
we just, like we were saying earlier, I know we laughed and joked, he from West Philly, what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm from Oakland, you from B-More. Like, we can all trade stories like that, but is it okay? And
it's not okay, and that shouldn't be the standard.
Yes,
that should not be the standard. But the issue is, in order to get better as a people, we have to agree on a standard. And this is the generation and era in general of anything goes. Anything for everyone is permissible. Anything for everyone is acceptable. And if you say something about it, then it's anti-black or it's anti-youth or it's anti-whatever.
Yes.
And you cannot improve as a group without having standards.
Absolutely.
A standard for me is not seeing a man slap another, a brother slap another brother on national television. I'm sorry, that's a standard for me. I don't want to see that. I want to see that.
That's what hurt me to my heart is I don't want to see that. And I don't care if you at the Oscars. I don't care if you own the corner. I don't want to see you do that.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that. Yes. It's not good for my mental health to see that. And it's not good that because other people have seen it, like you said, we've become desensitized to it.
Yes.
We've become desensitized to it, where even in media, we will see things more gruesome and more heinous happening to us, and we're desensitized to it. We don't pay attention. People pay attention more to depictions of violence against animals in media than they do about depictions of violence against Black people. and in real life. And it's, I don't want to, I just can't accept that. I can't accept that. There's a way to say, I don't agree with this without being anti-Black. I understand in the hood, in my neighborhood, in whatever, this might be normal. You might see people slapping each other. That doesn't make it okay, and that doesn't make it healthy. And it's all right to say it's not okay and it's not healthy and I don't want to see it. And that doesn't make you anti-Black if you feel that way. And it has nothing to do with how white people view us and define us. It has everything to do with how I view us and how I want to define us. And it's not by violence. Violence isn't in that definition for me.
You know, one scripture that's coming to mind is when God says, you know, if you lukewarm, I'll spit you out. You got to be hot or cold. And I think, you know, an important thing, and my mom kind of talked about it earlier, you got to be anchored. I remember my mom used to always say, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You got to stand for something. And I think nowadays it's really, you know, perpetuated. It's whatever you want to do, whatever you like, whatever. And
whatever you feel
gotta
like.
you gotta stand for something. You know, it's okay to not want to do this, to not be okay with that, not to agree with this, not to be okay. You know, like, for instance, when I was talking about earlier, my marriage, it is between two people. Okay. That is my stance. I'm standing on that. That is my stance. I am not.
That's anti-poly.
Okay.
Like,
no.
Right. And people will say that. Like, what?
Now, if you want to invite people and be a sister wife and you, but ECOUIA is second to none. ECOUIA is second to none. And I'm definitely not choosing that. Exactly. Now, if you want to do that, that is your business, but no, and I don't have to be anti anything because I ain't coming in no way. So I don't care who in it because you ain't coming to mine either. So
people will say that's anti this, it's anti that. It's like, no, this is just what I choose for my life.
Right.
That's just what what I stand for. It doesn't have to be against anybody else.
And I feel like that's why our youth has so many problems and is so much flip-flopping and flowing with, because you have to anchor yourself and believe in something, stand for something, tie yourself down to something.
You have to anchor with something, because this culture will have you going in one direction on a Monday and in a complete opposite direction by Friday.
Yeah.
And that will be happening every single week as far as trends, as far as what we care about. I understand, you know, with the war that's happening is very sensitive. It's horrible that lives are being lost. But I also understand that there have been civil wars. There have been American-funded wars in many other countries that have not received similar media attention. When it comes to letting this culture dictate what's important, what you pay attention to, who you care about, you have to stand for something. You have to be anchored in something bigger than the culture stuff that's going on.
Yes.
Because this culture will have you running every which way except the right way, in my opinion. And I think I just feel like you have to stand for something. You have to stand for something. We talked about the bonnet situation with Monique speaking about bonnets.
Yes.
And how that became anti-Black.
Yes.
Because she's saying some Black people are doing a behavior that she doesn't think reflects highly on us.
Right.
I don't necessarily disagree with her. I have worn my bonnet outside before. Yes, I have.
Me too.
I wasn't proud of it. Like you said, if somebody would have seen me, I would have been like, "Oh, why did I do this?" You know? Yeah, like, "Oh, you know, like, take this off." But you know, it's just the culture will have you just thinking. The overall culture, I just feel like, can be very toxic. It can be very weird, and what it tells you is important versus things that are not newsworthy and things that are not worth attention. And you can follow it if you want, but you're just gonna be blowing in the wind every which way. I don't feel like it's anti-Black to say that I don't want to see Black people slapping other Black people on television.
Yeah.
But if it is, then I guess that's your definition. I don't feel like I'm anti-Black. I want better for us.
Yeah. And the other thing, you know, I want to unpack, because I've talked to a few other people too. We were having that conversation about us not allowing ourselves to have like human experiences.
Yes.
And not allowing us to have mistakes and stuff. I definitely, you know, think that as Black people, we have to start the start the transition and start getting in the mindset and start getting the set of, if one person doesn't represent everybody. And I know that that comes from the lack of resources in our community. That comes from the lack of visibility. That comes from, you know, we don't get to see a lot of, there ain't a whole bunch of Chris Rocks. There ain't a whole bunch of Will Smith. There's one Will Smith. There's, you know, there's Denzel and there's Sammy, but there's one Will Smith. You know, a lot of times we don't have access. So when we do, we really, really, really put a lot of pressure, I guess to say.
Yeah, pressure.
And just, you know, really just wanting that, because I think in our hearts we want that. You know, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm a huge Bill Cosby fan. I met him, and to find out what was going on, that, like, you would have thought that man was my grandpa. It broke my heart.
Yeah, same.
Why it broke my heart so much is because I grew up watching him. The Cosby Show, I'm showing my age now, but the Cosby Show at that time, at that moment, had such an impact on the world, in our culture, in school, in college, because in my family, I only had one aunt at that time who went to college. Out of a few aunties, it was only one. And so to see Black people talking about college, and here on, I'm in the West Coast, we don't have Black colleges here. So to see that and be exposed to its colleges, which is Black, you know, people watching, you know, a different world and him and all that stuff. It was important. It mattered. And so I think it really comes from the lack of, and we operate, I was talking to my cousin earlier, we operate from a place of so much lack, and so much. We really have to start training our minds to see things differently, to see things more abundantly, and then have more. Because I agree with the statement somebody was saying, if someone who is not Black watches that and they are offended by that, they probably were offended by us, you know, in general. And I agree with that. That's why, to me, the conversation that I really think is more important is, how are we seeing each other? Do we want this to be the standard? Because a lot of people felt like, you know, this happened all the time in the hood. Okay, but are we okay with that? Do we want that to be the norm? Or can we take this time and say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Like, this ain't the norm. And we don't want to see West Philadelphia at the Oscars. We don't want to see West Philadelphia
and that's the thing. When you start defining Black culture as hood culture, that eliminates so much of the richness and diversity of the Black experience. I never want to say this is whatever because it's hood. That's a part of Black culture. And I'm not ashamed of that part of Black culture, but that's not the entirety of Black culture. We don't want to start defining things like this is okay because this is what's familiar to a certain group. You know, I don't like that at all.
Because a lot of people were saying, you know, it turned into the BET Awards. And I'm like, but is that cool though? Like, so that's our award show. So we okay with that then? Like,
you're okay with fights every award. Like,
let's hold ourselves and want a higher standard and want something better. You know, let's want that for each other, and then not just want that, but you got to also participate in being that.
You have to be that for yourself.
You know, talk about it. You also have to, you know, participate in being that. And, you know, I know, like I said, when I was younger, look, I was with it. Okay. I was with it. And thank God for growth. And so hopefully, you know, us watching this, you know, can have some growth and see us in a higher standard and see, because I think that you should behave at the BET Awards and the Oscar Awards the same.
I agree.
I don't feel like you should be able to be cussing and slapping people at the Oscars, just like I don't feel like you should be doing that at the BET Awards.
Exactly.
I don't want you to do it at either one. And I want us to be okay with that. And I want that to be the standard. I want us to be okay with that.
I agree with you. I think some of where that comes from is feeling so policed and controlled in mainstream culture that we want to be very permissive in our amongst our own. And I don't agree with that, but I think it comes from having to live two lives, having to speak two languages, our culture and dominant American culture, which is white culture.
Right.
I think some of it comes from being policed and feeling controlled and being self-conscious, constantly being made to feel like you're lacking, or that you're different.
Yes.
And then when you're amongst yourselves, you want to just let loose and just whatever goes, but
Sure.
that's not necessarily healthy. So though I understand it, I don't agree with it. There's been so many times as a business owner, as far as the healthcare business that I own, that I've had employees do things working for me and my husband that I know for a fact they would never do at another job. They've taken certain liberties that I know for a fact they would never take at another job. They've said certain things or had a certain lackadaisical attitude that I know for a fact they wouldn't have had if the owner of that business did not look like me and my husband look. And that's very disheartening, and that's very disappointing. And I understand some of that is cultural. A Black owned business, you think, oh, I'm gonna get a discount. It's my sister. I can be comfortable. I can be myself.
Right.
But at the same time, like you said, there is still a certain standard that needs to be upheld. There's a certain respect that you should give to others and yourself as a Black person.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with white people, but has something to do with how you see your own community. And I see that disrespect that you see, like you said, the BET Awards, it extends into so many different facets of the Black experience, especially in business, as far as consumers assuming, oh, your stuff needs to be priced cheaper because you're Black, or you need to give me 50% off because I'm Black, or even employees not bringing their best selves because it's not a corporation, because it is someone that looks like them. They feel more comfortable. It's like, I get it, but at the same time, we have to do better. We have to do better, because we have to support ourselves. We have to support each other, and we have to give our best to each other. If we give our best 9 to 5 to Microsoft, to Apple, to whoever we work for, to whatever company, and then we don't want to give ourselves when it's Black, our best self when it's Black owned, that says something about how we feel about each other and our community and what we're building. And I don't like what that says.
No, I agree. My grandmother owned a business for many, many years in downtown Oakland where we sold soul food, and we also had like butchery stuff, like sandwiches and delis and stuff. And I can't tell you how many times people order their stuff, then I make it, and then I tell them the price, and they like, oh, well, I only got $2. You do not do that at McDonald's. Come on, sis. I say you don't do that at McDonald's. You do not go to McDonald's and be like, go ahead and give me a Big Mac and then put $3 on the counter.
You don't do that.
Don't. So you can't come here and be okay with that. You have to pay like everybody else. Bye, Deanna. Thank you for coming.
Bye, Deanna. Good night. Say no to slapping. Exactly.
Yes, say no to slapping, Deanna. But yeah, and so we have to do better with how we see ourselves. So we got another 15 minutes before it's 7 o'clock, and I'm gonna wrap it up. I want to know if people have comments or questions in the chat that they want to ask or say, because please go back if you haven't been here the whole time and watch the replay, because Tiff has dropped some jewels. My mom came through and dropped some jewels. I hope that I was able to drop some knowledge and some jewels. But I know for sure y'all did. And so I want, to make sure that people watching this now, and for people, who are going to watch the replay, to really get some nuggets. So if there's questions that anybody have that they want to ask as far as like mental health, things that they can do. Also, I just want to say this really quick. Please check in the description box of this video. I have Therapy for Black Girls, which is a great resource. It's a podcast. It's also a website that will lead you to other things. If you are having issues with mental health and stuff, it will lead you there. And then I also have helpline.com that talks about mental health, things that you can do, how to handle it. It breaks a lot of stuff down. And then wherever you live, you can always make sure to Google, therapists in your city or whatever, so that you can get some extra help that you may be needing. because like I said, we have been through a lot.
Yes.
We have been through a lot. These last couple years ain't been nothing nice. And just the fact that you're surviving and talking, and I'll be honest with you, I think that's part of the reason why so many people are talking about this like crazy. Because it's an escape from reality that has a lot of stress. And it's a way, and I hate to say this, but I'm just going to keep it 100 because that's who I am. It's a way to be like, look at them. They ain't got it together. And look at all they got. They ain't got it together. You know, it's a way for people to not feel so bad about what they're going through and to look at somebody else. And I'm going to be 100. I really think that's part of the sensationalism of this is people, you know, like to see other people not having it together. So let me see, please, you know, sound off in those comments. I actually will drop the link to if somebody wants to come on and talk real quick before we go. Please be respectful. You know, everybody, please be, you know, respectful. Like I always like to say, keep it cute. B Stokes said, great topic. I like how you approach the subject. Thank you, B. I definitely wanted to approach it in a different way. And also just shout out B Stokes Styling has a business. She dropped a very great live earlier today talking about alopecia. She sells wigs, custom made, and she gave some really interesting information about alopecia that I did not know and how Black women are really suffering from that. So please check her channel out and her video out. Uniquely Vicky said, excellent discussion, ladies. Thank you. Tanya S said, I thoroughly enjoyed this live. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate it. Yana Harrison said, my boss would always tell us, note that they don't go to Starbucks and pay later. They can't do it here. There you go. You can't, if you don't pay there later, you cannot do it there. Uniquely Vicky said, deflection. I dropped the link down. Great job, ladies. Thank you so much. So
thank y'all so much. And thank you so much, Silky, for having me on this live. I'm very honored to be here and grateful to be here. And this has been a wonderful discussion.
I am so honored to have you in my life as a friend, for real, for real.
You know I love you.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You guys have no idea. Tiff is the jewel that you see right now. She is that in real life, off camera, she is. I mean that with every fiber of my being. She's a blessing, and I'm hoping that this will inspire you to really get back to your channel and what you do. You're great at what you do. And
thank you.
And you are needed, like right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I don't want to cry. Right now, mental health is people are so impacted. So what you have and what you were doing on your channel is super valuable. So I hope that you will have the time. I know you're doing a lot right now, but, you know, I hope you will have the time to get back to, you know, just dropping the gems that you did and really doing it because people need your help.
I'm ready. Yeah. I had to take a break from my own mental health, but I'm ready.
I get it because I didn't know how to do that, unfortunately, but my body was like, guess what? You're getting ready to be out. And I had to learn to do that. And I know that I have had my own battles with mental health these last couple years. Like I said, I ain't gonna get into everything because we're not gonna be doing that. But I have experienced
right.
a lot of things challenging personally, and a lot of, you know, death, and it takes a lot out of you. And so I was going to therapy, and one of the things that she told me is you really have high coping skills. And it was funny because when my sister and my mom was like, I think you should go to therapy. I was like, I don't think I need to. Like, I'm coping. And for people who feel like me, who are strong, because I know most Black women, you know, we do feel like we are or have to be. And we think because we're coping that we're really okay. And what I realized in my therapy is I wasn't okay. And I do a lot of pouring into others, but not into myself. And I know we do that a lot as Black women, as mothers. We pour into our families, our children, our husbands, our jobs, everything, and we don't. So it really taught me to, what do you like to do? I learned, you know, I like candles. I learned me getting my nails done is just not being super girly. It's something that really helps me feel good and better about myself. Taking baths, listening to music. So really, you know, take the time to find out what those things are. And just because you're coping doesn't mean that you're okay. Because Will looked like he was coping.
Yes, he's been coping this whole time until he
looked like he was coping. You know what I'm saying? He looked like he was coping, but it was obviously something he's at his breaking point. He's definitely at his breaking point. Uniquely Vicky, B said, yes, coping, but not processing. Yes, ma'am, B, you better say it. Uniquely Vicky said, I didn't know how to grieve and had to seek help. Yes. You know, us Black, there's a lot that happens in our community. I remember 2 years ago when everything was happening with the George Floyd situation and all that, I remember talking to my husband, because when we're riding the car, I remember he would be like, the popo right there, popo, 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 popo. And popo is slang out here for police. And I one day was like, boy, you be talking about there go the popo like we driving like with kilos.
Right. like you're riding dirty.
We kind of did the same thing you did, Tiff. We like laughed about it, whatever. And then when all that stuff with George Floyd happened, I realized like, no, we laughing at it, but that's not funny. Like funny. He said, I grew up in Oakland in the hood. Your life depended on it. If you got pulled over or the police take you, you might not live. Yes. So he's saying something, but it was born out of survival and to live. And how many little things like that we as Black people do all the time, and we don't know. And I mean, he has been doing it. He does that still to this day. And I was like, it never really dawned on me like what was under that and unpack that until all that stuff happened with the police and George Floyd and the protests and all that. That's when I realized, oh my God, like that is something deeper than that. We just acting like he just looking out for police, but that's a survival tactic.
Yes.
You know, that's a survival tactic that he had to do to live, to make sure that he got home safe.
And that's incredibly mentally and emotionally taxing to have that weight on every single day.
Every day. Every time you get in your car, and we commute. So it's crazy. We got a question. Thickskin7 said, question for Tiff. What's the best way to approach the discussion of mental health to someone you are concerned about? Good question.
So that is a great question. And I don't think there's one set answer for that or just one approach. I think it depends on the person and how severe their mental health is at the time. I think if it is an issue of life and death, that's a conversation that needs to be handled delicately, but immediately. If it's a situation of maybe family mental health, of like a depression that is not accompanied by like suicidal ideation or something like that, or an anxiety or something like that, you want to always lead with love no matter what the situation is. You want to always lead with love and let them know, hey, how are you feeling?
Yes.
Hey, what are you going through? What's going on? Are you okay? Try to ask open-ended questions that is not going to get a yes or no response, that gets them to talk so that you can kind of assess what's going on, if they're a threat to themselves or a threat to others. But you always want to lead with love, and you want to try to make them feel comfortable enough to let you know what's going on so that you get more information. And it could be, depending on your relationship with the person, it could be, hey, you know, I've noticed some changes. You're not as happy as you used to be, or you're not as positive as you used to be, or, you know, you're not doing the things that you used to like to do. Yes. What can I do to help? Or what's going on? Or is it any way that I could suggest maybe you talk to somebody? It might not necessarily have to be a therapist if that person's going to be offended by that. But honestly, in my opinion, I would rather take the chance of saying, look, I love you and you can cuss me out, but I'm going to tell you, I think you might want to talk to somebody else. You want to make sure that you don't minimize what they're going through. You don't want to use words like crazy or erratic or irrational. You don't want to use trigger words that might make them feel negatively and unsafe with you. But say, just try to keep it to observations that are neutral. I noticed you used to do this, this, and this, and now you stay in the house all the time. Do you want to talk about that? I noticed you used to love, you know, going out to the movies or love doing girls' nights, and now I never hear from you. You know, you're always on your phone. You don't talk to anyone anymore. You don't come out. You don't, whatever the case may be, try to not make it attacking, but just, I'm wondering what's going on. And then that can lead to, I'm wondering if it would be helpful to talk to someone. If you've ever gone to therapy, bring that up. I talk about therapy all the time. I've been to therapy multiple times in my life for different issues. And I bring that up all the time. I definitely needed therapy. I think every adult, especially Black people, could all benefit from going to therapy. Just from the experience of being Black in this country alone, we could all benefit from therapy, yet alone any other individual traumas. So I always try to say, like, hey, I'm noticing this. I care about you. I love you. I miss that sparkle. Is it any way that, you want to talk to somebody? Do you want to talk to me? If it's not a therapist, is it a pastor? Is it an auntie? Is it, anyone that you feel safe enough to talk to? If it's not me, if it's not a professional, to get this off your chest and start working towards healing, try to make it a positive conversation, but also be real. If someone is on the edge where you think that conversation will make them hurt themselves, then that's different. That's a different situation. But try to approach it with love and with compassion and with a lack of judgment, and let them know that they're safe and that you're not going to share anything that they tell you as well.
That's great. Keila R says something that I really think is important. I just want to read real quick. It says, can't pour from an empty cup. We all got to take care of ourselves, and that means our minds too. Yes. And I know my god sister says it all the time, who is Keila. She always says, we tune up our cars, we'll get our hair done, we get our nails done, we do but we don't take care of our mind and our spirit, our inner man, our soul. And that's so important to do. Even I have learned to really take the time before I get up and get to going, take the time to just kind of relax, say, thank you, Lord, for waking me up today, kind of send my intentions for the day. God, I thank you for a good day. I thank you for a positive day, and just kind of setting the tone. And I have realized just something as simple as that really has helped me too, is just really taking the time to take a moment to just be present, because I know we all get busy and there's so much stuff going on, but just taking a moment to really be present. And so I would like to ask you that, Tiff, what are some things that you can suggest and some things that we can do to help us with our mental health, or things that we can do just simple every day to kind of help with that?
I think you had a very powerful suggestion when you shared your experience, and that's starting off your day with connecting to whatever your spiritual life is, your purpose, your sense of self, a sense of gratitude. I think also not holding things inside.
Yes.
Find a way to get your feelings and your experiences, whether it be everyday feelings and experiences or whether it be traumatizing feelings and experience. Find a way to get it out. That could be writing, it could be singing, it could be going to therapy, it could be whatever. Find a way to get those sad things in you or hurt things in you out of you, because we hold it in our bodies. It causes our cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, to shoot up. It causes heart disease. It causes high cholesterol. Stress and the physical manifestations of holding those things in is very difficult. Just the process sometimes of writing out our feelings can help us detach from the feelings and feel like something has been released outside of us, and be able to look at things differently or objectively, or feel some bit of pressure or relief. Also, self-care is very important. Like you said, people say, oh, self-care has to look this way. It has to be the self-care. Like you said, for you, it's getting your nails done is an act of self-care. It's an act of showing love and appreciation and being pampered and detaching from everything that's bothering you and just being, in luxury. That's pay attention to the things that you like. The way that if you have a child, you're in tune with their moods, you're in tune with their needs. If you have a spouse, you have a parent, whatever, a sibling that you love, you know how to cheer them up if they're down. You have to know those things about yourself. You have to love yourself and get to know yourself well enough to know, when I am feeling down, what recharges me? Is it popping in earbuds and listening to music all day long and dancing? Is it going for a walk? Is it writing? Is it getting my nails done? Is it getting my hair done? All of those things are part of self-care, and self-care in stressful times like these is essential. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity.
It's yes, it is. And so I can't think of a better way to close it. It is, you guys. I want to say thank you again to everybody. I know a lot of people have been in and out of the chat. I know there's people who are in the chat who's been silent. I want to say thank you to every single one of you for coming and spending time with me. I love every single one of you. I appreciate every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. The Skin 7 said it best. Thank you, Tiff. Notes taken. Yes, and he said, thank you, Silky, for hosting. It is my honor. It is my pleasure. You know, I do.
Thank you, Silky.
Oh, no, thank you, Tiff, for coming. And I just, you know, always want to take the platform that I have, that God has given me, to really use it for good. And I hope that this has changed the way, you know, maybe not the way you look at the situation, but hopefully it opened up your mind to something that you didn't think about, that you didn't see. And hopefully it is something that you learned or heard in this live that you can take and use and make tangible and start using today to change some things, how you look at yourself, how you look at life. I really, really appreciate that. Kilo R said, y'all pat yourselves on the back. Awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some knowledge, Tiff. Yes, Tiff is just a gem. We thank God
Thank
for her
you.
every single day. We are so blessed to just have her. I'm so blessed to really call her my friend and have her to be able to take some time out of her life to share her knowledge. And I just praying, you know, I pray for you all the time, but I'm always praying that you stay the brilliant, beautiful woman you are. Tanya said, this is awesome form of life. Thank you so much, because that was me and Tiff's prayer. That's what we wanted. That was the desire of the heart. I will put Tiff's Instagram link as well as mine. If you guys need, you know, I'm just going to close with a prayer real quick. But if you need prayer or if you want stuff, you know, like I said, please check out us on Instagram. You are welcome to. I try to post a lot of positive stuff. Tiff tries to post, you know, a lot of positive stuff too. And I know I was just talking last week in my live about how sometimes this stuff feels trivial because so many things in life is so heavy. But today's live reminds me of why I still do this and why we still do this, because it matters, because it's helping people. And that's what it's really all about. It's not just always about wigs and hair and fun stuff, but also hopefully giving you something a little bit more heavier, tangible, and as grounding. So I'm going to close with a prayer real quick, and then hopefully this will, you know, bless you. So for those who are watching now, and for those who are watching the replay, everybody under the sound of my voice, I want to say thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, and thank you for allowing us to use our voices, our talents, our gifts to uplift one another, uplift people, uplift each other, and hopefully, you know, help someone, Father God, get through these tough times. I lift up everyone watching this and who will watch it later. I lift up, as we said earlier, the Smiths and the Rocks, their family, and just everybody who feels some kind of way by this and feels traumatized or whatever it is that they're going through, people with health issues, deficiencies, all those things, Father God. We lift them up. We ask that you continue to give us your grace, your mercy, and help us be an anchor. And if you don't believe in God, whatever it is that you need, hopefully you will use that as your anchor and help you get through. And I just want to thank God again for this time and for this moment. I pray that everybody be blessed and that they get what they need and how they need it, because God, you know better than me. In Jesus' name.
Jesus' name, amen. A beautiful prayer. Thank you.
Yes, and B. Stokes Styling said, right, we are a little piece of light in a world full of shade. Girl, ain't that the truth? So I love each and every one of you. Again, y'all stay blessed, stay healthy. I know me and B talked about it, B Stokes Styling. We're going to try to rotate lives starting next month on Friday. So if you enjoyed this content, please come back. You know, we always like to have a good time. And, you know, we don't always discuss, you know, gossipy stuff, but if we do, we try to at least try to put it in a way that can be helpful and that we can get something more out of it than just being amused by other people's pain. So thank you guys so much again, Tiff. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And, you know, leave us some comments. Check out the description box. Like I said, it's good stuff in there. You guys all have a beautiful night.
Have a great night. Bye.
Yes.